Right. Good morning, everyone. At the onset, I'd like to welcome organizers of the conference for giving me this opportunity to deliberate on the topic, the severity of menstrual dysfunction, predict insulin resistance in women with polycystic ovary syndrome. Now, if we see, polycystic ovary syndrome is a heterogeneous disorder with multiple phenotypes. The prevalence is hugely variable, as I am going to discuss, probably because of different criteria used at different point of time to ascertain the prevalence of PCOS. On an average, 5 to 8% of all reproductive age women is affected. Now, women who are affected with PCOS, they are at increased risk for developing various metabolic complications like dyslipidemia, insulin, impaired glucose tolerance, type 2 diabetes, and increased prevalence of cardiovascular disease. And all this is happening possibly because in the background of metabolic complications, as well as polycystic ovary syndrome, insulin resistance is a key pathophysiological abnormality playing a huge role. Various population studies, as I am going to discuss during my talk, have shown that women with irregular cycles, as compared to those who are having regular cycles, have a more unfavorable metabolic profile. And vast majority of women with PCOS, regardless of how they are defined, whatever criteria they have used, demonstrate anovulation and frequent overt menstrual dysfunction. Now, if a relationship does exist between a degree of menstrual irregularity and metabolic parameters in PCOS, then menstrual dysfunction could be used as a simple clinical marker to identify these individuals who are at much greater risk for developing metabolic complications as compared to those women who are having regular cycles. So this is briefly the background of the topic which I am going to discuss over next 15 to 18 minutes to all of you. If we see the natural history of polycystic ovary syndrome, now it begins in fetal life, where because of genetic reprogramming, our organs are reprogrammed. Large number of these babies are born as a lower neonatal weight babies, and during adolescence period, they have premature adrenarche. As they entered into their reproductive age group, these women are encountered with irregular menstrual cycle, clinical hyperandrogenism, and infertility. As they ages and enter from reproductive age group to menopause, during both these transit periods, they are at increased risk for obesity, diabetes mellitus, dyslipidemia, hypertension, and other metabolic complications. And late in life, when such women enters into a menopausal age, they are at much higher risk for cardiovascular disease, endometrial carcinoma, and breast carcinoma. So there are lots of metabolic and other complications in women who are suffering from polycystic ovary syndrome. If we briefly see various criteria for diagnosis of polycystic ovary syndrome, which I am not going to discuss in detail because that is out of scope of my lecture. The initial criteria were NIH 1990 criteria, which include menstrual irregularity, hyperandrogenism, and exclusion of other etiologies. In 2003, Rotterdam criteria came into picture, which were hugely used and advocated throughout the world by various authorities. And in this, there are three criteria: menstrual irregularity, hyperandrogenism, and ultrasonographic evidence of polycystic ovaries. Out of three, two should be present to make a diagnosis with exclusion of other etiologies. Then Androgen Access Society in 2006 have given that hyperandrogenism is must. Along with it, patient may have either menstrual irregularity or patient can have appearance of polycystic ovaries on ultrasonography with exclusion of other etiology. So at different point of time, different researchers have used all these criteria to find out prevalence of polycystic ovary syndrome. Now, as you see from this paper published in Endocrine Reviews in 2012, the percentage of participants who are agreeing on different criteria. you can see different, there is discordance between the participants, which are actually doctors and specialists in this field, about different criteria used for a diagnosis of PCOS. And for that reason, if we see the prevalence study, you will see the huge variation in prevalence, right from 8% as high as 20%. Now, there is a study from Rohtak, PGI Rohtak, from our own institute, where we have shown a prevalence rate of around 6.8%. Now, looking back to the history, especially to the association of insulin resistance and polycystic ovary syndrome, as back as 18th century, the science of androgen axis was coupled with metabolic abnormalities, including increased visceral fat. And it is 1921 when Achard and Thias reported coexistence of diabetes mellitus with signs of androgen excess in post-menopausal women, which was called popularly in those days as diabetes of bearded women. Later on, Jean Waugh introduced the term android obesity to define abdominal fat accumulation. And it is in 1989 when Dunef et al. Have given that insulin resistance is a common feature independent of obesity in polycystic ovary syndrome. And what is important is that this insulin resistance is largely limited to glucose metabolism, and whereas the other biological actions, including mitogenic actions and effects on steroidogenesis, are not impaired, which means this insulin resistance will result in hyperinsulinemia to maintain your glucose metabolism. However, hyperinsulinemia will drive mitogenic pathway, will drive steroidogenic pathway, and will result in number of side effects, which we are going to discuss during this lecture. Also, during early years, it has been recognized that in patients with polycystic ovary syndrome, there are more rapid GnRH pulses frequency. The result is when there are more rapid GnRH frequency, as you see in this cartoon, it will result in increased and unfavorable secretion of LH as compared to FSH, and resulting in polycystic ovary syndrome manifestation. If we see patients of polycystic ovary syndrome, they are characterized by a defect at the level of neuroendocrine system, defect at ovaries and adrenal gland, in the background of obesity and hyperinsulinemia playing a key role. Now, with the effective or in more frequent GnRH pulses, it will result in an increased LH pulse rate, which will result in increased androgen production, and there is slow FSH pulses, which will result in decreased follicular development. So there are multifactorial defects with insulin resistance playing a key role. If we see specifically association between PCOS and insulin resistance, the first article reporting association between PCOS and hyperinsulinemia was published way back in 1980. Since then, more than 1 lakh articles has been published to cite the association of PCOS or hyperandrogenism with hyperinsulinemia and other metabolic complication. And it is lately, as you see clearly in this diagram, after 2000, that the research into this area has increased tremendously. Now, why insulin resistance is linked with PCOS and how it is driving PCOS? Now, remember, insulin resistance is a key feature of both obese as well as lean polycystic ovary syndrome patients. If we see the prevalence, 70 to 95% of women with obese PCOS has insulin resistance. Not only obese, 30 to 75% of the women with the lean PCOS are also having insulin resistance. Now, insulin resistance has a genetic background. On the top of it, environmental and family history leading on to increased prevalence of obesity, and as we ages, along with number of drugs which increases insulin resistance, plays a role. If we see insulin resistance, when there is resistance to the normal action of insulin, body tries to compensate for it. And in that, it will result initially in hyperinsulinemia. Now, this hyperinsulinemia has a number of ill effects. If you see, it will result in dyslipidemia at liver. It will result in decrease in sex hormone binding globulin, which means more free testosterone and hyperandrogenism. In glucose metabolism, it will result in impaired glucose uptake by glucose and other tissue, the result in IGT or diabetes. At the level of pituitary gland, hyperinsulinemia will result in increased LH pulses and amplitude, and this increased LH in turn will act on ovary, where there is an increased production of androstenedione and testosterone, and which will raise androgens and will result in hyperandrogenism and menstrual abnormality. At the level of ovary and adrenals, it stimulates cytochrome P450-17 alpha activity, which again will result in increased secretion of DHEAS, androstenedione, and the result is again raised androgens, menstrual abnormality, ultimately polycystic ovary syndrome. So as you see, insulin resistance is mother to number of abnormalities which are happening in patients, whether they are lean or obese of PCOS variety. Also, insulin resistance, as I have told you, with hyperinsulinemia, it will result in increased LH pulses, which will result in small follicles and premature differentiation of granulosa cells. The result is an ovulation, which is a common abnormality in patients of polycystic ovary syndrome. Now let's learn from some of the studies the association between insulin resistance and menstrual irregularity. What are the research articles saying about these two associations? If we see way back in 1987 in Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, this study has been published where they have tried to study insulin response in obese and lean PCOS. As you see in this cartoon, there are three groups of patients which are enrolled in this study: the obese PCOS patients, hyperandrogenic patients who are having PCOS, and control population. And again, lean PCOS, hyperandrogenic, and control. As you see clearly, insulin response both in basal condition as well as giving after oral glucose load in both obese and lean PCOS women are significantly higher as compared to ovulatory hyperandrogenic women, which is highlighted in gray circle, and age and weight comparable ovulatory control women, as has been highlighted in white circle. There is also a clinical implication of this study, which says that if we use insulin sensitizers, they're quite useful in regularization of menstrual cycle, but they might not be that much effective in reducing hyperandrogenic manifestations in these women. Now, this is another study which is published in 1993 in Clinical Endocrinology, where relationship of insulin insensitivity, which means insulin resistance, to menstrual pattern in women with hyperandrogenism and polycystic ovaries are studied. Again, as you see, the area under the curve, this is significantly higher and increased in PCO women with oligomenorrhea as compared to PCO women with regular cycle. If you see that in absolute number, both fasting insulin as well as insulin sensitivity, they are significantly impaired in patients who are having PCOS with oligomenorrhea as compared to women who are having PCOS with regular cycles. Not only insulin resistance, another important issue, as we have increasing insulin resistance, body tries to compensate it by increasing the insulin secretion, which will result in hyperinsulinemia. But in JCEM, in this article, it has been shown as disease goes on, ultimately on genetic background, beta cell dysfunction also develops in these individuals. And if you see in this cartoon again carefully, black dots which are representing obese PCOS and triangles which are showing you the lean PCOS, both group of individuals have decreased beta cell function as compared to normal individual, which means now they are at increased risk for developing type 2 diabetes, dyslipidemia, hypertension, and cardiovascular complications. Now, this study is published recently in 2013 in JCEM, where they have tried to determine insulin resistance by measuring HOMA-IR value, which we used in our research setting. And they have also tried to study the relationship between HOMA-IR and insulin resistance with menstrual cycle after adjusting for age, body mass index, ethnicity in polycystic ovary syndrome patients. Because one of the major points which has always been highlighted that it is obesity which is causing insulin resistance. However, it has been shown whether a woman is obese or lean, PCOS women have independently insulin resistance. And in this cycle, it has been shown that menstrual cycle longer than 35 days have significantly higher mean HOMA-IR value, which means have more insulin resistance as compared to those women who have cycle length less than 3 months. And those who are having cycle length more than 3 months actually have a highest HOMA-IR value or are having highest insulin resistance. Then this study is published in JAMA, where they have tried to study and find out that women who are having long or highly irregular menstrual cycles have significantly increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes, and that too is not explained simply by presence or absence of obesity. And again, in this study, they have shown that in women who are having highly irregular cycle, they have increased odds of developing diabetes as compared to those women who are having normal cycle length. Now, as you see in this slide, those women who are having cycle length between 26 to 31 days, their odds ratio is 1 as compared to 2.4, which means 240-fold increased chances in those women whose cycle length is more than 40 days. Lastly, this relationship of menstrual irregularity to type 2 diabetes, again, in this study, which is published in Diabetes Care, have shown that even at a BMI of less than 30, which means irrespective of your obesity, there is an increased association of menstrual irregularity to development of type 2 diabetes mellitus. Now, recently, again, this study has been published in non-obese women with polycystic ovary syndrome, because lots of discussion has been going on that not all PCOS women are obese. And again, in non-obese PCOS women, as you see in this slide, the oligomenoric and amenorrheic individuals have significantly higher HOMA-IR as compared to PCOS women who are eumenoric. In this study, HOMA value of less than 2.5 is considered as normal. As you see, PCO women who are eumenoric, it is 2.8. In PCO women who are oligomenoric, it was 3.8. And those women who are amenorrheic, it is 4.6. And the difference between them is statistically significant. So this study concluded that the hormonal parameter, which include LH, FSH, free testosterone, and androstenedione, are significantly different in patients with a different menstrual pattern as compared to women with regular cycle. Determining the degree of cycle irregularity can be used as a simple clinical parameter, which is a valuable instrument to estimate the degree of metabolic and endocrine disorder. And emphasis should be given to these parameters as a first step to characterize PCO women who are at increased risk for development of various endocrine and metabolic disorders in development of various endocrine and metabolic disorders in physiology. And in this, authors tried to study association between menstrual irregular abnormalities and endocrine and metabolic characteristic of polycystic ovary syndrome patients. And they concluded amenorrhea is associated with more pronounced insulin resistance in PCOS women, and oligomenorrhea predict a less excessive risk for insulin resistance than amenorrhea, whereas polymenorrhea appears to be a more benign metabolic abnormality. So there is a clear association between oligomenorrhea and amenorrhea with increasing insulin resistance. So what we are discussing, what is the clinical implications of menstrual cycle length in patients of PCOS? The clinical implication is that those women who are having cycles more than 35 days, and as cycles increases more than that, they are at increased risk for developing various metabolic complications in comparison to women who are having regular cycle or who are having cycle length less than the normal, means they are having polymenorrhea. To conclude with, PCOS is a common disorder with devastating metabolic consequences. Insulin resistance is a key abnormality in majority of patients. Women with PCOS and overt oligomenorrhea comprises the vast majority of PCOS subjects and have significantly more insulin resistance. Insulin resistance are significantly increased only in PCOS women, suggesting hyperinsulinemia is a unique feature of PCOS, irrespective of their body weight, and prevalence of type 2 diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia, cardiovascular abnormalities are significantly higher among women with PCOS who have menstrual irregularity. Amenorrhea is associated with more pronounced insulin resistance and hyperandrogenism in patients with PCOS, which means in clinical setting, simply noting down the cycle length in patients of PCOS, we can predict that this patient is having significantly higher insulin resistance and is at significantly higher risk for developing various metabolic complications. The women should be screened for all such metabolic complications and should be treated accordingly. Thank you very much.